Welcome to Spoonful of Courage. I'm Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life, and I'm here with Bruce Pulver. Bruce, good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me back. This is fun. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, it is fun. This has been good. And by the way, for our audience, we have several segments that you can find on our website and at various places, and check out more about Bruce. Bruce is the author of Above the Chatter, Our Words Matter. And you can find that also at the same website.com. But Bruce is an author and a speaker, and he uses a unique way of us looking at the words that we use every day and changing the way we think about and using those words to change the way that we think about our life events. And one of the chapters is the Woah, Nelly chapter. I believe that's chapter 15 of your book. And by the way, Bruce, I did read your book. So surprised that surgeons can read, aren't you? But anyway, so, we all go through the gamut of emotions, depression, anger, just all loneliness, all kinds of feelings that race through our mind. And I think of the time that I was set up for failure and I put a hole in the wall. Anger, and we all have those feelings of anger. Anger can be a positive or a negative thing. And I want you to tell us a little bit about how do we handle emotions and how this process can change the way we see our circumstances.
Wow. Yeah. Emotions. So for me, I think emotions they're good. They're part of life. They're part of our spirit. They're part of our soul. So yep. I wouldn't say, stifle them and always put on a certain kind. We've got to have them, right? We've got to go through them, right? Right. I guess we could talk a little bit about my job loss, and man, every emotion possible. 25 years with the company, right?
Anger, yeah.
Believing you're doing okay, and this wasn't the first one. We had talked, I think, in some emails we've exchanged. I'm the proud recipient of 3 layoffs in my career, and the only thing that was the same about every one of those situations, was me. I'm the only thing that was consistent in downsizing number 1, in company sold number 2, and reorganization number 3. So, every emotion, right? The first emotion was, wait a minute, you're kidding, right? You got the wrong guy. You got the wrong Bruce. It can't be me. And then it was anger. Then, all of that, right? Every word you can think of. And then came self-doubt. Well, maybe it was me. Maybe I just got lucky. Maybe I was just in the right place at the right time. But then at some point, you kind of have to say, who loses if I don't win? I don't mean win like the championship, but pick myself back up. Who besides myself is going to suffer and be impacted if I don't control my emotions, try to harness them for good, right? So here's one word that could mean 2 different things. We didn't plan this.
Yes.
But the word bound, Chuck. Bound. I'm bound. What does that mean to you? First thing that comes to your mind.
That means being strapped. That means being shackled, being restrained.
Love that. But let's look at it another way. If I said, Chuck, you are bound for greatness. How does that word bound just change in the way your emotions feel about being bound?
It kind of reminds you of being like cocooned, like a caterpillar. Cocoon before they become a butterfly.
Yeah, you might have been restricted, but really if you say, yeah, I'm bound and determined, I'm bound for greatness, I'm bound for glory, it's the same word, it's just how we think about it. So our emotions I'm not a neuroscientist, so I don't know how all that works in the chemicals in the brain, but I know for me, for Bruce Pulver, again, the mouse in my own laboratory.
I failed my psychiatry rotation too, so you're safe here, Bruce.
I just have found through the use of how I think and the words that I use, allow me to make some choices. They allow me to make choices of how I may not be able to control the circumstances, right? We all hear this, but you can control how you respond to them.
Right.
Kind of gets to the point where if you can think that life doesn't happen to you, but life is happening for you, it means you're going through something. You're not stuck there. So you had talked about the word of the hole in the wall and the anger, right? And so maybe a word that we can use, and man, we write these vertically and I just look at the letters. To me, we all have experienced anger in some way or another.
Yep.
And I've learned two lessons from the word anger. Our first one will be my acrostic. Anger, a no good energy robber. At the end of the day, being angry is like taking poison and expecting someone else to be impacted by it. It stays with us. The second lesson that I learned is anger is just one letter away from the word angel. You drop the R and make an L, it becomes angel. And I think the world needs less anger and more angels right now.
It's good. It's very good. We're here with Bruce Pulver. Above the chatter, our words matter. He's an author and a speaker, and speaks at a lot of businesses. He speaks at all kinds of groups, healthcare entities, and what have you. And he helps people change the way they think. And it begins, Bruce, and what you've been so good at explaining to people, it begins with a word. Words are expressions of our thoughts. Bruce, it's been good having you on the show. Don't forget to text Spoonful to 66866. And don't forget Bruce's website, above the chatter, ourwordsmatter.com.